Here's a special sneak peek at the movie.
I'm triggered.
Well, quick news alert for you. The Associated Press has called the New York City Democratic mayoral primary, which is effectively the same as the mayor's race, given it's a one-party state in New York, and it looks like Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams is very likely to be the next mayor of New York. We are absolutely certain we will be deeply disappointed by Eric Adams. Everybody says Eric Adams has all kinds of problems.
The last mayor candidate that I seen come up, I think they had him on Tucker or something like that. He was a Bostonian for sure. He had the total accent, had the thing, and I kind of clipped him on one. It was something he said or did something, but you could kind of tell he wasn't. You could tell he wasn't ready for the job. You know, you could tell he come from out here. You could tell he had some really good experience on the heavy end of what it is. I was hoping to see him in here, get an interview on what that was. I've never heard of it.
You will not get it anywhere else.
I mean, mayor of New York is something that really should come up on Fox in the Box in terms of the candidate. I don't know how long ago that was, especially considering one of those candidates wasn't all that long ago. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more on this one, but all right, we'll go back through it. We'll find one. Oh, you want me to go hit the defund the police one there? Well, again, across the system, I start with Hancock. It's an easier control. But it has no real difference between the school area. That by math, they are very different, but the mathematics in the form are still the same. It's going to be a little bit more, well, a little bit, going to be a lot more comprehensive. Just the department in one quadrant here is going to be the Department of Hancock, if not more so as a system, and the deposit state troopers. Which I can't think of in any set on the record we have ever really had anybody that did anything under those ideas. With that being said, I've served my time. I'm not one to actually go against the book when it comes to punishment. Now, I would have been sitting in jail for 5 years from a pot garden, right? I would have had a federal crime on my system. They were doing their job. It wouldn't matter who it was, right? But obviously the judge said first offense, things inside of here, I'll give you a couple of weeks in the can and 3 years probation, which I did correctly and got off on 1.5 years. That's, I mean, realistically, it doesn't matter what thing I hit inside of here. I just can't stand the vaccine pushes on things because it's all so much CDC. It's so much science inside of here that when you hear somebody talking about it and you're not actually in the virology lab watching somebody do a project, it's insanity to me to try to listen to somebody else try to lead the mission from the passenger seat. No offense, you cannot be it unless this is your main job. Why? Because if I seen you doing anything else in a virology clinic, I would be really upset about, that seems dangerous. That seems like a way to get clipped inside here that, it's going to be. I was looking for that. Something up to date here. Yeah, we could. No, I was kind of hoping for that one. Let's go back, see if I can find it. See how long ago that was.
Ruined our meal. I got everything right.
I know. But this is life. I mean, I wish I could tell you that this shit doesn't happen at the Senate, where there's a lull in the version of it, but it does. I'm not gonna have it. Come on, you tender, squishy, delicious bastard. There you are. All right, so this was 1 week ago. Whoa. And it's the 5. Well, I actually got a table going at least. I'm going to choose to skip that. Nowadays, speed, you got to be up to date with these things a week out. You got to understand, this is Rome. They're going to maul that thing. It's going to be all over, up and down. Anywhere I'm missing here, the only thing I can hope to get right is by tone. And I mean by the tome. inside here that I was right about the legal concepts about what that is. So there's, well, firstly, we got to separate things from Fermi Lab in itself.
A new narrative after the defund the police move blew up in the Democrats' faces. Big surprise there. The White House is actually trying to claim
it blew up in everybody's face. Firstly, again, you cannot say things like Democratic and Republican. They're just unconstitutional. There's a group of stonemasons. There's a bunch of people over there calling themselves something. They're just a group of people, particles, packets, so on and so forth. That's the first thing. And when that happens, when that goes, you would say, I need more energy on this magnet, I need less energy on this magnet, I need what the internal confinement lattice structure for the fusion here is to pop off the durium, to send it over to CERN, to get CERN to turn it into fluvium or 118 or whatever. Because this is the element. Like I said, when I say these are the elements, she's an element, this guy's an element, this whole thing here, plutonium, calcium. When you collide those things in there, you get a very radioactive isotope that has a short lifespan that you need a lot of magnetic housing, shielding, and other things for to make sure that it maintains stabilization. Because remember, if you take one particle, it's going to start to, especially one that has a ridiculous they are comparable, not necessarily by direct elements, but I could put the spectrum of elements out there. I could say, with a build for what that is inside of the situation, you could say I'd want to defund this system, I'd want to do those ones. They're not acting like iron. They're not acting like hydrogen in its position in space, right?
Police resources. That additional $17 million that was reduced from the police department's budget.
Well, here's a guy. I'm not saying he's a beat cop, but obviously there's something that distresses him to the point where it's like normal days we don't have to talk any. I mean, it's tragic as it is when anybody gets shot or murdered on somebody's detail. As a Mason, if it was me, somebody fouled my region, I got loose with one of the kids, you know, something happened inside of there. But obviously that's a huge territory for the game wardens. And I would expect the tone to be accordingly. You know what I mean? They're going to be upset. They're going to have cost differentials. They're going to try to say, hey, I've been doing this job for a while, and clearly, I mean, when I was stonemason, it's one thing to say gravity's pretty fixed inside there. It's going to take you a little while, but eventually you get it. Now, there's always going to be a ladder involved, right? And anytime you don't see that damn ladder, you go right at them. I'm serious. I'm 100%. You got to get rid of that place. I don't care what the fuck place it is, because they're going to be doing something stupid. With that being said,
definitely some good wordsmithing there. We do know
you'd have to ask him, you know, how come in the region that you developed skills for the beat cop to figure it out to get good enough to become a captain or a 4-star inside of there, that the math doesn't play out. I just, you know, that's dead giveaway ringer inside what it is. And regardless of whether they're black or white, it really doesn't matter, because energy, right? You know, it's going to be like, obviously that's the only way in a group of people like this that it's gonna survive. It wouldn't make it any other way by hook or crook. You're gonna have to be using gravity inside of there, and often you can hear it. It's just
murders. And the idea that we somehow are gonna forget this whole past year when we were told to our faces that police were the problem.
Jessica said something inaccurate.
I wish sometimes I could take Peterson from downtown sheriff and just go, you know, to him in the lodge, and I want them to cut off a guide to him, because that's part of the play. You know, drug and alcohol, probation, the prison system. I'm trying to give them those skills, but obviously I can't do it from here. It's not the same, and I need a fair way in which to do it. But let's take a look at any of those criteria this way, or what is common law inside of what people say is a high-ranking official that moves things faster, has a little bit more authority, and therefore more respect in this situation of whether I put anybody in that Terminator chess gambit. And I'm trying to idealize now. I'm going to have a conversation with you. and I'm going to have a conversation with you. They should have, there's but one answer on here I think is the common trajectory. Blind study.
It was about him.
Let's hear your answers.
Because he was against it or vice
and you can put any topic on there. Lagrange, defund the police, critical theory, and we got to have a solid answer on this. We got to have at least a play for this table about, well, how do we go about what the right answer is? First, we have to idealize some certain points, non-biasedly.
Right now,
the problem with that general relativity, it's going to go big bang on you. So without that in mind, we'll play the tricks of some other mathematician. I mean, that may not seem like the right answer to any one of those questions, but it actually is. Are we really thinking about it like that? And obviously, I'm not going to say you're going to slide into cosmetology in here, but
stared down the far left last year. No. They were beholden to him, and they couldn't.
That's why I use Newton or Hodges and Poncure. Those are my two topology teachers that both teach topology that have radically different sets. I don't know when they come up on the timeline. All I know is that today, I'm going to use that standard regardless. It could have been Hodges and it could have been Poncure, and regardless, I'm still going to get to the same answer. If I input Bernoulli's by a certain set inside here, I'm going to have a value. Now, obviously, I haven't done anything yet here. It sounded incredibly intelligent, and that's something you need to be very aware of inside here, not to just say, the answer is, I need that marshmallow.
So I think it's...
Okay, that's Snowflake.
You comment on my great thoughts.
They're great thoughts.
By black body radiation.
Really,
I play it because it's fun. I want to see that IH. I want to see where you're living for momentum inside of there. And you don't need to be psychic. You can. This is old hat. This is very old hat.
School boards on the CRT stuff.
And
they're making those decisions, and nobody in the Democratic Party was like, stop.
That's why formula. That's why I bring up the notation Fermilab. It doesn't matter what defund the police station is. I want that building to be Fermilab. Regardless if I just hit Hancock, deposit state troopers, or anything like that, I'm going to see exactly where they're sitting, where they're moving, what commands, how they respond to certain operations, and that's all the containment. But if you don't have somebody running that on every phone call, I'm not going to do it, but I know they do. This is their job to study Fermilab, right? That would be if President Biden's desk or anything from the top structures. Not too many. You start with a budget. Obviously, the president, it's a camera. You don't come off of this camera, ever. Ever. The only time you do it is when you go to sleep. And that's by America. That's it. I would prefer not to even do that for a president. I want you in there. Don't care. Drop that fucking pen and stick it in there, buddy.
Right.
And
it's not sensible. It doesn't seem right. President Biden's not going to go for this.
He certainly deserves.
But that's the nature of the pressure and gravity and velocities and momentums in Fermilab, right? Let's face it. If you had somebody that was off the farm for Fermilab, are you going to let them drive it?
The sunk costs. Like once you
of course not.
go into something,
not only, let's start about the first nuclear reactor in America. It was a lover's triangle that sent somebody in there. Well, most commonly it's idealized as a lover's triangle that set somebody up where he pulled the cord and went nuclear.
Yes. I embrace being wrong. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's the stubbornness of their sunk costs that's preventing it.
Now again, you know what? When you do that 365 sphere, it's like saying, hey, I'm always again very old hat. It's just the ground around you, rabbit tracks you left on the investigation for the murder scene that you had on there. You weren't paying attention because you weren't watching. It's just that simple. And anytime you have that situation, I wish I could tell you it's more complicated about critical race theory. I wish I could tell you it's to the aspect of blames Republicans for defunding police. It's not. It's always the same damn problem.
Watching police precincts literally lit on fire when